Lovely to have your company. Get ready to turn up the volume and let the good vibes flow because we have an absolute superstar and he's joining us the airwaves this morning. And without further ado, today we introduce you to a multi-talented individual who has made a name for himself in the worlds of acting and Pacifica performance poetry. Now, he's one of the co-founders of SOS and SHA Creative and has been working audiences with his captivating performance for years. Now, today he talks about his award-winning solo show, Awaiting, performed solo in Nelson back in 2017. Then his an incredible production that has racked up an impressive list of accolades, including the Best of Fringe, Best Actor, Best Director, Best Design, Best Solo Show, and many more. It's an honour to welcome the talented Shandon Meredith to share his insights and experiencing about the stunning piece of theatre. So get your dancing shoes on, folks. It's time to welcome the incredible Pacifica performance poet, co-founder of SOS and SARS, one of them, I should say, Shandon Meredith. Let's ignite the airways with energy and enthusiasm. Talofa lava, good morning, Uso. Thank you for joining us.
Talofa, thank you for having me.
Well, let's take a breather, eh? I know your nerves are running 100 kilometres per hour, probably more. But first of all, let's talk about your background. From where are your parents from Samoa, and what were villages? And just to start off with.
Oh man, I hail from the villages Safune, Vaiala, Solo, and Vailele.
Fantastic, fantastic. Now I know. Now your nerves are calmed down. I can see that you're relaxed. As an actor, it's normal for you. Now the show is coming to Auckland at QTheatre Lawful this month. What initially drew you the art of acting and performing poetry, and how did the passion for these art forms evolved over time?
So I kind of fell into acting. I actually wanted to become a vet at high school.
Wow.
Samoan dream of ticking off the list like from immigrant grandparents. So
Yes.
um, I think we have that thing of like either becoming a doctor, lawyer, or something to do with medicine. And I was heading down the track of becoming a vet. And I was just kind of coasting at school and just trying to get all the sciences down. And when I started not achieving those things, then I kind of looked elsewhere, and that was through like choir for St. Patrick's College down in Kilburn in Wellington.
Right.
And I just started getting involved with like the drama department there, but still keeping the tab on like the sciences and that. But yeah, I fell into it and then I became I did a 1 year electrician trade after high school, and that didn't quite work out. So I just followed my friends into my first drama school, which was QTheatre, New Zealand College of Performing Arts. And there I got a diploma of stage and screen, and I met my good friend Jess Smith, who told me to go to Toi Whakaari.
Right.
And I went to Toi Whakaari. I got in. I managed to get in.
I like how you said you managed, because I was just going to come to that part, because I see you were a troubled kid. You had decision, because I was touched by your story. And automatically I was connected when I lost my father in 2008 and how it changed me a lot. Now, I know the show deals with the complex themes such as mental health, loneliness, and the human condition. How do you approach bringing such heavy topics to live audience?
I think through this, so like when we made Waiting back in 2017,
Right.
I was dealing with my wife. We were dealing with her mother being terminally ill with bowel cancer. So it was like an interesting time to make something. Like Amelia didn't really want to make something with me at that point because she was busy looking after her mum. Fair enough, you know. But we had this slot down in Nelson Fringe, and we just wanted. I had a whole lot of poetry written, for just my own use, for my mental health, basically. And we started making the show, and it just naturally deals with those things.
Right.
I think when we're bringing mental health to the forefront, it somehow has to be hidden enough but accessible enough for people to come to it. So like I think poetry is a great medium for those hard topics that like we deal with or aren't really good at talking about. And that naturally has been evolving through it. And I think poetry is a good device for that. And I take my hat off to like all spoken word artists and poetry poets because man, it's a beautiful form. And like hopefully as an actor, I do it justice as well. So yeah,
I think you
yeah,
have.
man.
You touched me because I connected people
Oh,
like yourself, and that's why I wanted to do this interview because it made me. This was a topic that I quite talked about back in the years, but then left aside because the stigma, that lies beneath it, being judged, and so I will come out whenever somebody talks about it or talks to you that in the similar terms. Now with this, you turning it into theatrical, it just sort of brings that openness to share and cordial to to help many others who in the same field. And you're
yeah.
right, poetry, because we are quite poetic people.
Oh
Pacific,
yeah.
yeah, and we some people may not know it, but we are political. If we look at our ancestors, if we look at our parents, where especially on the Samoan concept, when you look at the Matais, a lot of their speeches are poetry before they go into the deep discussion.
Absolutely. Ole tulafale. I mean, like, that's where the art like I mean, we're good at it. Like a lot of things, like we're
Exactly.
good at sports, we're good at performing, we're good at, it's just another it's another form. Of course, like, yeah, hopefully I capture that in essence. I think I do, like, with the oratory skills of like of poetry as well. Yeah,
Mm.
you're absolutely right with the Matais. But yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what drew my attention. Listening to your story, I had a bit of glimpse of highlights. What you, it's just amazing how you do it. Like you had the courage to put it on stage. Now, how do you stay motivated and inspired as an artist to continue to create work that feels challenging and meaningful? How do you stay?
Um, yeah. So it's a show like Waiting, and there's another show that I'm part of called Upu, um, which is a beautiful show with 7 performers, and it's directed by Fasitua Amosa and curated by Grace Taylor. Um,
Oh yeah.
and we that's going on tour in October as well. So when you have shows like that, that's about Polynesian poetry, Māori and Polynesian poetry being displayed and getting them off academic shelves and
Right.
like performed in a way that we can all access because there is beautiful writing in Upu. Um, but like when you have shows like that and a show like Waiting, that's purposeful because that's reaching out to our communities, and that's what we're about is like the storytelling and to involve our communities and that we can actually do these things.
Yes.
I think that's the main emphasis. Like especially when I get up perform, I go, I'm looking for that one brown face, that one Polynesian face out there
Right.
that can connect and go, oh man, we can do anything, or we can do that. Let alone we can do anything.
Yes.
So I think those are the drivers, and like I think a show like Waiting, I'm able to. Um, it's my story, but it's specifically mine. But like through that specificity, like we get universality. So like when I talk about what I'm talking about to my son, hopefully people can relate in that way. And yeah,
It's yeah, it's amazing and how we use our tamariki to help us along the way to inspire us. And I love how you did
absolutely.
that and saying it in the form of a letter. Now, I know the show has toured extensively, including Okilangi, Whangarei. What has been the response from audiences in different regions, and how has touring influenced your performance? And have you ever sort of lose the energy, or you sort of get exhausted? Tell us because not always you get everyone gets asked this question, but we always want to know. Touring can take a lot out of us, especially if you have mental health. And traveling can do a lot. Can be good, can be bad. Tell us.
Um, yeah, this show has been interesting, and I'm thankful for my wife and the team that we have with Waiting with SOS and SHA Creative. I think this show, especially being specifically my story, like we've had to do a lot of work, and like recently we've just been getting me into therapy. So like along with the show, we do therapy, and then I get to like divulge information because there is some trauma stuff that's in there that
Right.
I'm not necessarily being cathartic with. I'm just going, here's this part, my son. Here's this part. You make your decisions, and if you feel a way, then like we can get you surrounded by help. And I think touring and stuff like that, I think how you're dealing with how I deal with the mental health is that I'm getting this story across, and hopefully that helps with helps us be able to talk about it. So if
Right.
I'm out there performing a show like that, then people go, oh, if he's talking about it that way, then maybe we can talk to each other about it. Especially for men, let alone Polynesian men, like talking about our feelings is a hard
Very hard.
is a
I totally indeed. I
yes,
agree.
it's a hard thing because it's very vulnerable. We become vulnerable, but I think as an actor, we're constantly searching for vulnerable spaces.
Right.
We're constantly searching to be vulnerable, and it's so I think how I present as a Samoan male, we go, oh, he's doing that, and he's being vulnerable, and he's sharing a story.
Yes.
That's a thing that we can go, oh, if he can do it, then I can do it too.
Is that
Hopefully.
yeah? Is that what?
Hopefully.
Is that why you did it solo rather than because normally these kind of topics or themes you have more casts, a lot of ideas involved and thrown to it. But is this why you did it solo so the story portrays around you?
Yeah, I think because at the time it was just me and my wife down in Nelson.
Kalofai, yes indeed. What a journey there had been.
So, and like, I think we were new, like, that's 2017. That's 8 years out of drama school. And like, also like down in Nelson, there's not so much like theatre resource. Like it's really trade or farm heavy industry down in Nelson,
Right.
South Island, and so like at the time it was just a thing that we were exploring, and like it just managed to be me being solo. But also in essence, like I know my story.
Yes.
My wife knows part of that story, and that makes sense for me to be solo with it, and not really anyone else can tell my story.
But you, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, we've thought about it. If I had got another job, and then like we had to get another actor, and
Right.
we know a couple of actors, possibly Fasitoa or
Yes.
Fasitoa Mota or Beulah Koale, like could step into the role because they have their parents, their dads as well, and they understand the story, like telling their sons. So we could like adjust it that way. But yeah, in essence, like it's a solo performance, just so that we could. And also, like, it makes it tourable, So
Yeah.
Australia, you want to, New
Uh,
Zealand, you want to.
Yeah, that's it. Hey, thank you. Thank you for sharing it. It's amazing. We can go on about it, but just being mindful of our time. Now, what other future plans do you have for the show, and what can audiences expect from the performances in the future?
So this show that's going to be playing at QTheatre in September. This is the developed version that we have. So like runs at an hour. It's poetical. It has some dancing in it as well. It has some movement. It has a little bit of rapping if you're into that. Yeah, and it takes you on a ride. It takes you on a roller coaster of like emotions. Like it's a coming of age story. So, and it involves like the Pacific, but also involves like our heritage and our family lineage. Like how we operate and break down things.
Oh, yeah.
As Polynesians. So yeah.
Well, finally, for budding performers and creatives who are listening and viewing this morning, what advice would you give to those who are looking to create and perform their own solo work?
Oh, great question. I would say choose something that you're really passionate about, like a topic that you're really passionate about, and that will keep you true to like making that thing. Because sometimes if it's like surface level, then it's really hard to stay true to that. But when you're true to yourself and true to the form and true to the thing that you're wanting to make, then it makes it really easy to stay with it. Yeah, that's the kind of advice. And yeah, make stuff because like there's heaps of stories out there. Make stuff. If you're Polynesian, make it.
Fantastic. Hey, amazing advice. Before we wrap up, can you let our listeners and viewers know the time and date to see your show and the other show that you're involved with, produced by Upu Collective that you mentioned early on?
So Waiting is on at QTheatre on the Q Loft, and that is running from the 26th to the 30th of September, and that's at 8 o'clock. And with Upu, that's touring down to Taranaki Arts Festival, Tauranga Arts Festival, Rotorua, Te Tai Rāwhiti, and yeah, I think I've covered the lot there, but that's happening in October. So yeah. So if you're in those regions, yeah, hit us up.
Shandon, thank you so much for taking the opportunity and time to share your story. We are looking forward to reconnect. This is not a saying goodbye. We will come back and check it out, after the show, because we're going to have to talk and connect as well. This show that you other mentioned, you're a face to be reckoned with and sort of to connect with more. So it's amazing to share your story. And honestly, we can go on for days, you and I, but we've got to, sharing is caring for others as well. So, so it was all take it easy, Manuia lava leaso. Hey, happy Father's Day! Don't eat too much chocolate. Say something for me. Hey, so I know that you're a chocolate lover, so take it easy on that chocolate. Thank you so much.